Okay, hello, this is Paul Kearney. Can everyone hear me? Okay, good. I think I'm going second. I think we've got some people from the university who'll tell you about the university in general, and then I'll speak about the MPP.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. I'm Lucy Welch, your Student Inquiries Advisor. So just to run you through how the webinar will go, as an attendee, your mic and videos have been disabled, so you will need to use the chat function on the right-hand side to interact with us. We do welcome questions throughout the session. However, to get the most out of it, we would ask that you try and leave these until the end, until Paul Kenny has finished delivering the presentation, and then you can type these in the Q&A section on the right-hand side. We will keep an eye on the chat section during the webinar as well, so if you're having any difficulties with sound or anything, you can alert us in that area. So without further ado, I will hand back over to Paul. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so let me tell you some things about the course in general. So I know you may have questions about the university and the wider environment, but I think I'll start with the MPP, and then if you have wider questions, then between us we can help answer them. So the MPP is the Master of Public Policy. It's a 180 credit postgraduate course, and it's there to provide a combination of theory and practice. So my main contribution is as an expert in policy studies and policy theories, and I guide you through the concept side of that. Then, in cooperation with me, you contribute each week in workshops, and then you start to produce tailored coursework. So it begins with using theory to produce policy analysis, which you do with oral presentation and written work. I help you write blogs. Often people have never written a blog before, so we do that for the first time. And then as we get into, we have more knowledge of the policy process, you start to write essays and it culminates in the dissertation. So one of the benefits then is that the MPP is very flexible. So I give you the kind of core concepts and 60 credits of modules. Then the idea is that you choose the path that you want to take with the MPP. So imagine it as a sort of pathway where you can take many different options. Now, for example, if someone was doing they wanted to do a PhD, I would say do the other 60 credits in applied social research, which are delivered through the Faculty of Social Science. Or you can do feminist research in our faculty, and that includes a placement with an organization. Or you can combine it with our other politics degree, international conflict and cooperation, and do credits there. Or you can do behavioral economics, legal studies, environmental studies, or communications. And those are the topics that people tend to take. There are more choices, but those are the sort of main pathways. The third thing is that even though you're taking these top courses, they're tailored to your interests. So I give you the kind of the abstract theory, the key concepts, and then you make sense of them in a practical setting. So it starts with a sort of theory-informed policy analysis, case for policy change. Then we talk about, say you do applied social research, we'll talk about the most appropriate research methods for policy theories. And then you finish off writing a dissertation, and that's quite an ambitious piece of work that's often done with primary empirical research, or it's a large policy analysis. And the idea, this is the sort of capstone. So you can see the flexibility in the outline of the semesters. So the first semester starts in September, quite early in September. So I think we start on the 10th, something like that. And it tends to be on Mondays. And you would do a 20 credit course in the MPP 1. So how does the policy process work? And that'll be between 2 and 4 hours with me in a workshop environment on campus per week. Alongside that, you do 2 other 20 credit modules. Now, some of them, I can't tell you exactly how they will run because they run differently. So for example, some of them run the same sort of 2 hours per week plus, the opportunities for extra, one-to-ones. Some of them run their 20 credits over 3 full days, and that accommodates people who work full time in the public sector and they want to do a sort of really concentrated course. In the second semester, the MPP 3 is theories and approaches. It's larger, it's 40 credits, and that's 4 to 5 hours with me on campus per week. So we do have breaks, but it's fairly intensive. And we begin with, the first half is about policy theories in more depth. The second half tends to be guided guest lectures from people in other disciplines and from practitioners to see how they make sense of the policy process in different ways. Then you have the chance to do another 20 credit module. And that takes us up to April. And from April, if you're doing it full time, from April to the end of August, you do a 60 credit dissertation. They tend to be supervised by me primarily, although you have options. There are lots of people here who could supervise on specialist topics. Now, that tends to be more independent study, but it's supervised, and the norm might be, say contact twice weekly, something like that. Once every 2 weeks, that's the opposite. Once every 2 weeks, maybe a sort of 2-hour session as a group, and with the opportunity of one-to-one after it. And, as much online contact as you like. Okay, so the profile of the class, it's quite a new program. So it's been going for a few years. It began mostly UK EU students, and it began quite small, but it's growing. It's growing quite fast. So this group this year is about 15 students, and so you would have they would have 15 in the core group, and then they would spread across lots of different courses of various sizes. They've tended to be mostly UK EU students, but in years when we've had more international students, it's really made a positive difference, because we're talking about broad abstract theories, and the way in which we apply them really changes when you have people from lots of different countries talking about their experiences. We expect, it's hard to anticipate how many students we'll have next year, but we expect about 30, and we expect about half and half, UK and international students. Okay. Previous students have tended to come straight from undergraduate, but some have come from other jobs in government temporarily or because they want to change profession. Most students have gone into, in fact, I can't think of a student who hasn't used their MPP to do something with it. So most have gone into a graduate job. So for example, one works at sort of information services for local government. Some work for non-governmental organisations. Some continue to or have begun to work in government in the UK or abroad. Some have secured PhDs, and some of my current students are looking for PhD funding. But so that may be a question for the future. If you were using this for a PhD, we actually start planning for PhD funding as soon as you come. Okay, so I've kept it nice and short so that I'd imagine you might have questions. So I'm open for any questions you might have. Okay, so the first question is, what kind of topics do students do their dissertations on? Okay, it really varies. So this year, let me go through the ones that I remember the most. Some of them are doing policy analysis, identifying a problem and how it should change, or they're using theory to explain why that policy might not change. So we have, let me see, we have someone doing a dissertation on obesity policy, someone doing a dissertation on period poverty, some people interested in changes in an abortion policy. Let me see, I should know more. Previous students have done things like the contribution of feminist groups to the policy process, or how Scottish parliamentary committees resolve policy conflict. So there's really, I mean, a lot of those were sort of social policy questions, but there really is, what I tend to do is say to students as soon as they come, think of a topic you're interested in, and you'll develop your knowledge of it from the first piece of work to the dissertation. Okay, next question. Is it mostly UK policy, or can you focus on international policy too? It's very much the latter. So the concepts I provide are mostly, they mostly began as studies of US politics, UK and other countries like Canada and Australia, but they're increasingly applied or relevant to international policymaking and the global south. Now, some of the more interesting work would be to think through if it's appropriate to apply these concepts to countries that they weren't originally planned to be used for. But there's certainly, we don't go through the structures of UK and Scottish government routinely. We use concepts to look at particular countries. Okay, next question is, what help is given to organize a placement to help inform the dissertation? Okay, so I tend to, there are two routes, I guess. One is through feminist research, which has a dedicated placement at the end of it. You do 40 credits and 20 at placement. The other is a more informal system where you say to me, I'm interested in a placement in organization X or topic X, and then I work with you to find out someone who may host it. Now, the definition of a placement is crucial, because most of the time, this will not be a physical placement in which you go to an organization's office and sit there and do the work. Instead, we talk with them about the kinds of things they're interested in, maybe co-produce a research question, and then answer it with that audience in mind. Now, I mean, that's a very good kind of practical system to work with. Okay. Okay. Does the placement last throughout the course? Well, with the feminist research example, that happens in the spring semester, so probably something like February to April. Or what I think could work is, for example, to do a placement during the dissertation phase, because that would be a good time to sort of apply your knowledge at a relatively late stage in a format that would really work for policymakers. Because we do a 10,000 word dissertation and we do a sort of 500 word blog. So we could have the audience in mind. We could also do it in the first semester. It would be unlikely to last throughout the course. I think that would probably be too much. Unless the student and the audience really hit it off, and they saw a future working on many pieces of work. Okay, this seems a little bit early to have exhausted the questions. Okay, next question. If we have some existing placement ideas, proposals, can we begin discussing these with you? I guess that means now, and the answer is yes. So just send me an email. I'm fairly easy to find, but it's p.a.kearney@stir.ac.uk. Just send UK, sorry. Just send me an email and we can talk through your ideas. We couldn't set up any kind of final placement opportunity until the course program starts, but I think we could get the ball rolling. You know, we could make contact with an organisation and discuss those ideas with them. Okay, I think I've exhausted all your questions pretty quickly. I'm going to put up a link to my, so you've got the university website that you can look through the course and the environment. I'll also send you a link to my blog, and it will give you a sense of some of the concepts and questions that come up. So particularly if you look at the tab that says 1000, that'll give you a rundown of the policy concepts. Or if you look at the blog, it'll give you a sense of the kinds of things I'm interested in and you might be interested in. So I'll send that now. We might have another question. Okay, another question. Returning to the core modules, once we have covered core content, how flexible is our scope in terms of essay topic submission? It's very flexible. I mean, what I expect is for someone to demonstrate their knowledge of the concepts, but to apply them to case study settings. So essentially, each student produces their own research question for each piece of work. There are no set essays at all, in at least in my core modules. So it's very much sort of student interest driven, guided by the concepts that I'll provide. Okay, I think that might be it for now. If you have other questions, send me an email. We can also speak more directly. I have a Zoom account, which I can send you a link for. If you have any other questions, just send me an email and a time that you'd like to talk, and we can take it from there. Okay, thank you.